it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today in New York City, it's a really nice day. It hit 70 degrees today and we're in the middle of March, so that's pretty nice. Last week it was in the 20s and it just really pushed me to start finishing my repots. If I don't do them now, the roots are gonna go pretty crazy and I won't be able to handle them. And these orchids are actually pretty crazy in their pots, and let me take you a little bit closer. We are going to be repotting all these orchids today. So all of my cattleyas look like this. They have outgrown their pots. They've gone through the bottom drainage holes. All of the little holes are pretty much taken. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be salvaging these orchids and cutting the pots off to repot them. Generally, when repotting, you have two choices, right? You either save the roots or you save the orchid. And given that we've got new roots coming down, these orchids are in active growth. I will be repotting them now. As you can see, I repotted many of these in July of 2020. We're in March of 2021, and the growth has just been crazy. I got all of these orchids at the same time from Carmela Orchids. And I'll say that they've all been extremely vigorous, and now is the perfect time. We've got some new growths coming in, we've got some new roots. This one won't be so bad. This is probably the easiest one of the bunch. Maybe I'll salvage this pot, we'll see, I don't know. But it's gonna be more challenging just given the root situation. So this one is also another one that's really gone through the pot. Actually, this isn't too bad, the first two were. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give these guys a good soak. Once they're soaked, I will start prepping my tools, and then we'll start cutting the pot away and freeing the orchid and putting it in a new self-watering leca setup. This nosy cat over here. Get out of there. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna be soaking these orchids. I've got some lukewarm water in here, and everything is filled pretty much towards the top. We're gonna soak these for about 20 minutes, let the roots get a little bit more pliable. What I've done was I added some Super Thrive here, which helps with rooting, and then I added a little bit of MSU fertilizer into the water to help me out a little bit with the repot. I may add some kelp or Super Thrive when I repot, but I'll figure that out when I'm actually done. But we'll let it sit here for 20 minutes or so, let it get soft, and then we'll start freeing up these roots. Okay guys, so this has been soaking for about 20 minutes. This one is Potnera Dick Smith Paradise. As you can see, the roots have grown out pretty significantly from the bottom. And I am staggering this out, my repots, so that I don't get burned out. Because when you're doing a lot of these orchids, it's very easy to get tired. So let's get a little bit closer. We are gonna have to cut this out. So what I did was I sterilized this by sitting it in a cup of Physan solution, and so that I can make my life easier when I'm repotting several orchids. So I think my approach here is I'm gonna cut the inner core and then try to cut the outer core to free these orchids up. Let's see how we do this. Sometimes when you're doing these sort of repots, you have to choose between the roots of the orchid or the pot. And these pots from Repot Me are sort of expensive, so it's a little bit of a bummer I have to cut through them since they've only been in use for a couple of months, but I'd rather not sacrifice the roots. Now with cattleyas, I'm a little bit conflicted because they do lose roots sometimes when you repot them, but we'll see. Some of them have new tips. So I will fast forward from here and then come back so you guys could see the final core taken out. All right, guys, so I've taken the core out, so it should help me repot a little bit better. So what I think I'm gonna do is go up the side here and see if I can start opening it up. So let's see how this goes. We literally have a root coming out of every single little slat here. These are supposed to be for drainage, but I guess cattleyas, they really like the setup. If you guys want to check out how I fertilize these orchids, I will put a link down below to show you exactly what I'm feeding these guys. I live in New York City, so my conditions are very hot and humid in the summer, and that's when these guys grow the majority of the time. So, you know, they really like it hot. They do like my conditions in the summer. The winter is pretty dry. They still, I mean, I do keep my grow shelves pretty warm. So I think that's also a part of why they do this so much. They've only been in this pot since, let's see, July 3rd, 2020, and today is March 12th. 2021. I got these guys all from Carmela Orchids. These are all extremely vigorous orchids. And if you see I'm not being gentle, don't mind me. This is my 10th repot of the season, and for my cattleya orchids. And this is 10th that was like this. So I've sort of figured out how to free them without messing too much with their roots, but I'm not slowing down any longer just because I've just done so many. And if I take too long, this could take me 2 hours if I really wanted to, if I wanted to be really careful with every root. But if I'm a little imprecise, I could get it done a little bit faster and I have minimal root loss. I'm still trying to be very careful, but I'm not trying to sit here for 2 hours freeing this orchid since I have maybe 20 more orchids to repot, so that's where I'm coming from. So all right, guys, we have cut through half of the pot. So we are making some progress. So the bottom core is free, and now we've got half of this pot cut up. So let me free this out. I'm gonna actually cut this in half. Such a bummer, this pot cost $4 at Repot Me. All right. Almost there. Okay, the most important part is freeing these roots at the bottom. So I'm just gonna cut little by little, trying to avoid cutting roots if I can help it. Okay. I'm just amazed at how much this root system really took off when I repotted it. I'd never expected I'd have to repot so soon. I would rather wait, but like if it looks like this in just, is it 9 months of being in this pot, I don't know what's gonna happen next year. Probably be even more of a difficult situation. All right, we're almost there, guys. Ooh, we just have to untangle these little roots here. Okay, oops. Oh, my bad. She'll be okay. Look at the new roots coming in. That root system's gonna take over. I'll say I'll be annoyed if all these roots die off after I spent so long trying to take them off. Kidding, it's only been a few minutes, but that's why I'm sort of rushing through, because the first time I did a repot like this, I took over an hour trying to free the roots, and the roots immediately, some of them died, which is fine. Cattleyas are like that, which is why we want to repot them when they're in active growth. And now is the perfect time. It's 70 degrees outside for the first time this year, and I want to make sure I get this before it has another growth spurt. All right, we're getting there, we're getting there. Okay, now we have a little piece here on the bottom, so let's cut this off. Every single drainage hole has a root. Oh my goodness. Let me know in the comments how you guys deal with repotting orchids like this. It's only been 9 months in this pot. Do you guys have cattleya orchids that just go crazy on you? Is it maybe it was the super thrive? I don't know. But I mean, I'm happy. It's a good problem to have. By all means, I'd rather have more roots than less. I just have to repot more, which is sort of annoying, but that's okay because we're gonna get some beautiful blooms. So I got this box from Carmela's, as I mentioned. They have a box, they still have it. It's called the Fragrant, I think it's called the Madison's Fragrant Special. And that is a box of 12 orchids. Cattleyas, Dendrobium monosmums. I got two Maxillaria tenifolias in that box, a yellow form and a purple form. And I got a bunch of beautiful cattleyas. It was $68 for 12. $68 including shipping. And they're supposed to be 2 to 3 years from blooming, which is perfectly fine. And I'll say that one of these orchids that I got in that box is blooming size because it already has a sheath. So these orchids are actually going to bloom sooner than you think. They're very young, they're very healthy, they're very vigorous. So I highly recommend, if you have not ordered from Carmela Orchids, that you give them a try. All right, I'm going to fast forward here since I'm just rambling at this point to get this little piece of plastic off. All right, she is free. So all we have to do now is get rid of the moss I have here. I had her name Moss and Sphagnum Mix, and I am actually going to take them all off, and I'm going to show you the root system when it's all done. So I will be back. All right, so let me show you Dick Smith Paradise. So I got most of the medium off. I'm going to soak her in the solution she was in before. Check out those roots. So we lost one root, we had one casualty, but overall, not too bad. Most of her roots are fine. I may have nicked a couple here and there, but I candidly was not very careful just because I wanted to get it done. And she's growing vigorously, so these new roots will take over. So I'm gonna soak her. The roots do not seem bad at all. They're all very firm. So I'm going to soak her, clean her up, and then I will show you all of the orchids that I have freed from their crazy tight pots. All right, everyone, after an hour and 40 minutes of detangling everything, here is what we've got. Let me take you a little bit closer. So this one over here is Prada Green Deluxe. This one I didn't have too much trouble with. This pot was not so bad. I did my best to get the bark out, but I left some pieces. It'll be fine. Overall, this one was just fine. The Potinera, this one I actually did not have to cut the pot because this was easier. This one's the Potinera Jerry Refilled Paradise Fuchsia. This one's a smaller one. The root system is a little bit smaller. We do have a new growth coming in, some new roots, so this one should transition just fine. And let me show you the monsters. So let's start with the one that we freed together. So this one is the Potinera Dick Smith Paradise. Guys, We were able to keep all of the roots except for one on the bottom. I may have nicked a couple of roots here and there, but overall, this is pretty clean. I left some pieces after soaking. There is some algae on the roots, but it's okay. And we've got some roots coming down, which will establish nicely. So this is the perfect time to repot. This is the root system. It's a lot of roots. All right, let me show you one more. This last one was one of the first cattleyas that I actually burned in the sun. I left it out last summer for too long, but this one has an incredible root system. Very little die-off when I clean this up, but I think it's going to establish really well. It's got new roots, it's got a new growth. I think it actually may have two growths coming in. Yep, here's a second growth. So one on this side and one on the other. This is going to be a very vigorous root system. So I am going to pot all of these guys up into leca. Generally, when you have an orchid that's very unruly, what I like to do is cut the core in the middle of the pot. It usually helps. And then I cut along the sides and take the pieces off the pot. So, I mean, it does take a lot of patience. If you have a lot of orchids to repot, I recommend you do it little by little. If you do it little by little, you'll have less burnout and you'll be less likely to massacre your roots. Here's a root tip that was a casualty. But overall, provided you do it when there's new growths coming in, you see some root tips like this. Not even new growths. Sometimes roots come in after a new growth has come out, so just watch the root system. Anyhow, I hope this video was helpful. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more orchid care content. Take care, everyone. Bye.